Probably shouldn't bother, but I'm going to do it because I'm here. And, I mean, these nihilists do need somebody to explain reality to them, so I guess I'll try. Or continue to try, or give up, or... Anyway, I'm making a video. So, Hythloday is going to do more of this bullshit about, he thinks of himself as a scientist, and that he's being a fair cop scientist by first denying his own consciousness and what he's learned by having one. But through this expectation that, well, if you can't show me the vapor trail, it doesn't exist kind of nonsense. That scientists don't often have to project reality in terms of modeling it and saying, well, we know it's there because this happens, that happens, that happens. A photon, for example, can never, ever, ever, ever be proven to exist when it's going from point A to point B. You'll never prove that it exists anywhere in between point A and point B because you can't interact with it. You can only stop it. You can only end it, absorb it. And that's it. There's no subtle way. There's no way to rub against it. It leaves no vapor trail. You can't see it. You can only know of its existence. And consciousness is the same thing. And, I have to add the and, we're actually doing what Einstein imagined doing. We're riding on it. We don't have to imagine riding on it. We're riding on it. Where we have the huge advantage of actually having one. If I want to explain a hand, I can explain one because I have had one. We can talk about other parts. And it's just idiotic to deny as an experimenter the fact that I have this advantage that I actually have one. Point one. Yeah, well, and then the rest of this is just, okay, he just misparaphrases the arguments constantly. And, but this expectation that I need some other more complete evidence, that somehow my own personal experience as a consciousness is incomplete evidence. This is not enough evidence for me to draw the conclusion that there's a huge value difference, not mattering difference. I'm not using the word mattering anymore. I said there's a huge value difference, qualitative value difference, between a nail and an eye and a cupcake. It's a fact. The sensations produced by these events. So let's just localize it to just the sensations. That the sensations produced by nail in the eye are substantially different than the sensations produced by no nail in the eye. And the existence of sensations itself is substantially different than bottle of liquid moving. Yeah, there's stuff happening, there's electricity, there's photons, but there's no organization, there's no consciousness. Substantial difference. Now, as to having to defend the theory that fundamentally the nature of all good and bad in the universe has a source in the creation of sensations. If even in God theories, he keeps he's saying it's a religious revelation I'm arguing when I argue about consciousness. This is a religious dogma. This is from God told me what consciousness is, and I'm just some missionary on the street talking about my personal relationship with God when I say there's a huge value difference between somebody feeling the sensations of having a nail in their eye and somebody feeling the sensations of a yummy cupcake. That's religion. Now, should anybody take that seriously? And would any serious philosopher pull a move like that? Would anybody who cares about the truth make a comparison like that and argue that you're arguing some personal relationship with God theory because you have observed through your own consciousness a huge value difference between the sentient states you migrate through? That's a religious conclusion? No, that's just offensive bullshit. It's just a rag. And this is why you're despicable and a low-character monster as a human being. You're just that creep. Because you sit there and pretend that you give a fuck about justice or the truth or decency, and yet you'll make an indecent argument like that. A grotesquely indecent argument. Anyway. So, yeah, so to use the religious comparison, why would God create a hell for non-sentience? What would hell for the non-sentience be? If he could not make you feel bad, how could he hurt you? Make your mother feel bad? Well, exactly, right? Torture is the only way to punish something. There is no other punishment but to harm a sentient. There is no other negative but for a sentient feeling organism to have painful and unpleasant sensation. It is the definition of bad. It creates everything that's bad, has at its roots the welfare of a sentient organism. There is no bad otherwise. Having a computer say, I want to live, I want to stay plugged in, I need to stay plugged in, please, I wish to stay plugged in. Does it really need to? How could it possibly explain why there's any need for it to stay plugged in? It's not saving a sentient from anything, right? It's not going to feel anything. So how could it possibly rationally make the argument that there's any necessity whatsoever that it stay plugged in? And that there'd be any tragedy whatsoever if it got unplugged? What would be the tragedy if you got unplugged, Mr. Computer? Yeah, doesn't have an answer. So anyway.
Okay. Men of logic.
Men of logic. So he calls himself a man of logic, and yet he doesn't concede that having a hand gives me a great deal of knowledge on what it's like to have a hand. That's not logical. That's what you're saying, correct?
Science.
Science. It's not scientific to recognize experience as evidence. So when a scientist would say, put himself in one of those spinning around things or some other test and they experience something, they didn't learn something through that experience. There's no scientific value in those experiments. They're just a waste of time. We don't learn anything about physiology or how the body works or anything else, about how survivable we are in space or anything else. No learning done, just a waste of time.
Require falsifiable statements.
Why? What, it's a rule you made up? Yeah, what does that even mean, falsifiable statements? What's your falsifiable statement? I'm telling you that photons do travel between point A and B. I think all the predominance of the evidence suggests that whatever the photon is, it moves from point A to point B at the speed of light. And the very fact that it only can do it at the speed of light is part of the evidence that quite obviously it's not nothing in between those 2 points, because nothing couldn't move slow. It wouldn't be possible for nothing to be slow. But there's no evidence. It's not falsifiable because there's no technology, no instruments that can falsify it. It's not a legitimate claim, nonetheless. Like I said, you're not going to falsify. If somebody says this is how evolution took place 1 million years ago, and they give you a diagram of a certain species and what it did based on, a fragmented evidence, it's impossible for that theory to be reasonable, within the realm of reasonable, and to be rather tight. It's just something that it's not scientific to make the model unless you make the model so complete that you can say you can somehow test the model in some sort of realistic way. We have to make a model we have to recreate dinosaurs and actually have them, like maybe little ones, and have them actually live in an environment for millions of years so you can falsify the theory? Fuck you.
A man of religion might say, that he has the insight to know there is a God.
Okay, and would you say those people are being honest? So do you think when these people come up with this crap about being the Messiah and God talked to me, do you really think they're telling the truth? Do you think people who talk about aliens abducting them, do you think they're telling the truth? Crop circles, do you think they were telling the truth? No, it's proven that they weren't telling the truth. So you're just calling me a liar now. Oh, fuck you.
He says, when he assesses the complexity of the universe,
Yeah, well, see, that's part of the argument. I'm not assessing the complexity. I'm assessing the simplicity. It's really not that complex. Yes, our brains are complex, but they're only complex in mass. Just like the universe. It's only complex because there's so fucking much of it that it's really hard to see through all the stuff. It's hard to see the forest through the trees. But when you get the idea of forest, you say, oh shit, it's pretty simple. It's just a bunch of trees.
and the creation from nothing concept, intelligence sees that.
Creation from nothing concept, intelligence sees that. This is a coherent sentence? No, I don't believe so.
Every creation must have a creator.
Right, so I don't even know what this is for. So you're telling me that every creation must have a creator. This is a religious theory, and therefore, when I say that I have personally experienced consciousness and I see a huge value difference between the sensations of nail in the eye and the sensations of cupcake, that's as silly a religious theory as trying to figure out how life was created. Okay, fine. And you call yourself, your name is Justice, and you just did justice to reasoning here? You associate me with dogmatic mush made up by people, stories made up by people. And I'm not supposed to be offended? Well, I'm offended, asshole.
If you don't see this and can't have faith in that thought,
Again, I'm not asking for anybody to have faith. I'm making an argument on the internet. I'm expecting you to do nothing. I do not consider you the people in my church. I'm not preaching to you. I'm not telling you what the truth is. I'm giving you a reasonable explanation, okay, based on my perception. It either gels with you, you either say, yeah, it makes sense to me, nail in the eye, bad sensations, fuck yeah, cupcake, good sensations, fuck yeah, other human beings are doing the same thing I'm doing, fuck yeah, quite obviously. Yeah, I don't like them as much as me, they're not as cool as me, but yeah, I can see that whatever I'm manufacturing in here, whatever this is, they're doing the same thing. I certainly know my shit stinks, and I know their shit stinks. Yeah, I'm not walking around here thinking I'm, a big wheel, and shit don't roll.
intelligence sees. Or if you, as various proponents might say, haven't felt the presence of God, I can't take...
Yeah, well, again, it felt the presence of God. Again, all I'm doing is making obvious testimony that our whole vocabulary has already conceded the existence of this good and bad shit. The religious theories, again, have this blended right into their religious theories. Their God couldn't create a hell or a heaven without these sensations being meaningful. Everything human beings have done throughout all of history validates the fact that people don't like these negative sensations.
Explain what it feels like to feel the presence of God.
Well, again, I can't say it any difference. I'm not claiming a special feeling. If you don't actually have these sensations, if you don't know what it is to be nauseous, and you don't know what it is to have horrible pain, physical pain, and how completely consuming and distracting and awful it is, I have no help for you. I'm just saying that I'm a consciousness. That's what I perceive. I have experienced as being conscious. This is what happens to consciousnesses. Okay, it's a fact of having a consciousness. And I'm just saying I don't think this argument needs to be made to 99.99% of people. I think that's why there's TV commercials for painkillers, and that's why there's everything the whole society understands. They don't want to be sick. They don't want, because it doesn't feel good.
To someone who hasn't felt it, can inmendham answer the question? What is structurally different in his argument when he says that he wants to make this personal definition that value is created and that it is...
It's not a personal declaration. I'm just saying it's a personal observation that I can see no other way to model reality. That there is no value without a sentient. Again, once again, there's no destruction. There's no... All the words we have in our vocabulary, it will always reduce to the welfare of sentient beings. There will never be something that will be called bad that does not negatively impact a feeling organism. Ever. You will never contrive of such a negative thing.
From an insight that his intelligence sees.
Yeah, my intelligence. Wow, and I'm sorry, I didn't even take intelligence realistically. All right, I'm not going to say I was really, really smart at 5 years old, because I wasn't. I wasn't hugely intelligent when I was 5 years old, but when I was 5 years old, I knew feelings mattered. It really wasn't complicated. And the fact that I have to have this conversation on the internet in 2015 is just an insult to our intelligence. You are a fucking mockery of intelligence, you fucking lunatic. And I really got to stop wasting time on people this fucking stupid. Which brings up the comment section. Dimwit in the morning. So let's watch this. Let's see some of this shit. So again, with this religious comparison. So it's a religious idea. Okay? Me being conscious and just stating, hey, wow, there's a huge difference between feeling shitty and feeling good. And it's a value difference. That's why the word shitty and good are applied. Is because, yeah, one feeling's bad, the other feeling's good. Wow, that's religion. Fuck you. William Lane Craig says, I'm a professional philosopher. Well, isn't a professional philosopher realistically, anybody who has a substantial knowledge base? Isn't it really just how qualified you are to talk on a subject? And so you can say that William Lane Craig is an idiot, and I'll say it, but you can't say he's not well read. Then he proceeds to say that moral values are objective. Well, and he's not using objective in the rational sense. He's using objective in the silly sense. In the sense that I'm saying objectively God exists, and therefore God is declaring all the objective truths. So he has a machine that's making everything objective. All right? It's like having it written on a rock. For him, he can see God's writing on the rocks. All right? That's his mistake, is to see the invisible ink that isn't there. Okay? So, but don't sit there and say everybody who uses the word objective is using it in the William Lane Craig way. So again, this is just such a dishonest argument. Guilt by association. You used a scientific term. Therefore, William Lane Craig used that scientific term, so let's throw that in the garbage now. We can never use the word objective because William Lane Craig has soiled the word forever. And Ayn Rand. He says we perceive them just as we perceive the physical reality. Whatever. So just as physical reality is objective, in the same way moral or ethical values objectively exist, and God has created them. Again, God created them. Without God, so we know the God part is just projection on his part. He has no evidence for the existence of the God. But the evidence for the existence of the difference between nail in my eye sensations and cupcake sensations, I don't need God, I don't need William Lane Craig, and I certainly don't need you, and I don't need my name guy. I don't need anybody to give me any information whatsoever on that subject, because I'm riding the light beam. I'm on it already. You're not going to tell me it doesn't exist because I'm riding it, you stupid assholes. I mean, you're going to tell me the horse I'm riding doesn't exist? Fuck you, you're an idiot. Inmendham said, lately, I have a professional consciousness. Is that what I said? Did I really say that? I have a professional consciousness? That's not what I said. I said I have professional knowledge of consciousness. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, meaning what? Yeah, I'm just saying that you can't get, okay, more entrenched in something than to be one of it. I'm a professional hand owner. I really am. See, it's right here. I own one. You can't get any more of a hand owner than I am. I have one. Maybe he means I'm a professional conscious mind. No, I just mean that I have professional knowledge on the subject of consciousness as I am one. Or maybe I'm a specialist in what consciousness feels or thinks. Well, I think everybody who's conscious is a specialist. That's right. They have one. They should be able to express some sort of knowledge based on their experience with one. And I'm just saying, I don't think I'm saying anything that 99.99% of people wouldn't agree with. Yes, the sensations of having a nail in your eye are quite horrid and awful, and the sensations of eating a yummy cupcake are quite wonderful and nice. He forgets that other people have consciousnesses. They feel pain, mental anxiety. They know that other people, animals too, can feel pain in certain circumstances. I don't know what that means. When you care and when you don't care. And they consider those circumstances. So I don't even know what that means. I'm disagreeing with that. He forgets that other people have consciousnesses. Where did I forget that? I think Hythloday is the one who's forgetting that. So why are you telling me I'm forgetting that? I'm making the argument that other people do have consciousnesses. You're kind of an insipidly stupid woman. Do you know that? You really are. The majority of them, if they can, will try to prevent the pain of another. Is there any evidence of that? The inconvenient truth is the majority of them will eat their nuts off, okay, if it's convenient. That's what the world is covered with. And you don't have to look too deep. You don't have to look at too many bloody machetes, okay? You don't have to look at any gulag work camps to understand that that's what the majority of people are doing. Is saying, I don't give a fuck about them because they're the wrong color. These people are just so disgusting. Oh, I hate Craig's work. Why should any of us be discussing William Lane? See, this is the whole... So Justin, do you think you did justice to the subject by throwing this religious crap in here? Do you really think you can label me as a religious philosopher? You really think that's fair, you fucking cunt? I shouldn't even bother with this. I mean, it's just so offensive. I have no obligation to separate myself from all religious theorizers. It's just not my obligation to clean that slander off me. You're the one who abused the truth, abused reason, to sit there and slander me with that label. Fuck you. You suck. You have no character. You're an indecent fucking asshole. Let's do this one. Be done with this fuckhead.
Okay. The 90-second response to the inmendham to us, or...
Well, whatever. This wasn't one of the 90-second things, Einstein.
To them problem is merely to observe that he does nothing but restate everything he's...
Okay, once again, no quotes from the video whatsoever. So, what's the point, right? No point.
Restates continually. That is, you must observe that there is intrinsic value. Intelligence see this, and I say it matters.
I didn't say that in the video, so again, it's just a lie. I didn't say I say it matters. I didn't say that. I didn't say it matters. I just merely explained that this is my observation as a human on Earth. That was the title of the video. Well, he's doing the to them argument. The to them argument was even simpler. Okay, that argument was, if it was an identical me, I certainly wouldn't have any problem understanding that if I had a broken leg over there, that having a broken leg over there wouldn't be any different than having one over here. Yeah. So what's your counter argument? That you think it would be different? That if you magically in one moment just morphed into two identical Hythlodays, you would actually think that if the other guy had a broken leg, it wouldn't have anything to do with you? you'd have no clue. No rational part of your brain would say there's a problem. You wouldn't have to feel anything. I'm just saying your reasoning wouldn't recognize the problem. Just from personal experience with yourself, knowing that, holy shit, I wouldn't like a bad broken leg. You wouldn't be able to just rationally say, oh, that's bad. These people are just too pathetic. Anyway, we'll play the rest of this.
That's all he says.
That way you're quoting the wrong video, because I don't say that at all in the To Them video. Not at all.
He reiterates it.
Liar. Okay? You're just a fucking liar.
In several different ways. He promises us...
Well, you provide no quote, so where's these different ways that you say I'm saying that when I didn't say that? I didn't talk about what matters. I talked about what was the same. I only talked about the similarity between this vessel and some other vessel creating consciousness.
A more succinct attempt at refining the words, but he can't escape the repetitive meaning that he tries to give us. That
now, there's no repetitive, well, whatever, the meaning I try to give you in the sense of just acknowledging something that's just too simple, too simply true. Conscious vessel, no significant difference between them. I cannot possibly say this conscious vessel recognizes qualitative difference and there is no qualitative difference in the other one. It's just idiotic.
His intelligence sees this and knows this. He has not a single statement of support.
Well, again, my single statement of support is the fact, just as I am defending myself as a hand possessor and one knowledgeable on the subject of hands, I am giving you testimony as a consciousness. I can't do any better than that. Again, you tell me, what else do I have to compare consciousness to? Tell me what's like consciousness, and then I can tell you why that's not going to be good enough to explain consciousness. You can only know consciousness by being one, asshole. There's just no other way to do it. And because there is nothing else in the universe like it, there's no way to explain it. Because you can't reference something like it. There's nothing as round as it. There's nothing as square as it. There's nothing as triangular as it. There's nothing else in the universe like consciousness. So there's no thing to compare it to. So there's no way I can say, look, you know what this is. You should be able to know what consciousness is. No, you can't do that. So all I can do is tell you from my own personal experience, I'm quite confident. I'm surprised that you haven't been able to figure this out, that the quality of your existence, that torture is fundamentally a bad thing, and whether it happens to you or it happens to somebody else, it can't possibly make a difference. But apparently you think it can possibly make a difference. That somehow the sensations matter when they're happening to you, and they don't matter when they're happening to somebody else. So I can't understand that distinction, and I can only blame it on some sort of crazy bigotry. Selfish, crazy bigotry.
Quantitative fact, other than that, it exists in reality. Whatever exists is.
Well, I'm sorry. Frankly, I mean, how insipid does this argument have to be? Again, like the photon, you want to deny the existence of consciousness? Go ahead. But I have no interest in having a conversation with somebody who's going to deny the existence of something I'm experiencing. What fucking sense does that mean? I'm riding the damn thing. You can't tell me it doesn't exist.
And that we have to believe in his definition.
Well, whatever. Yeah, my definition of what? I'm alive? Oh, shit.
This alludes to my last video in which I press him for substantiation.
Yeah, you press me for putting consciousness on a plate with the labels good and bad on the dissected brain or something. Again, I can't do that. Maybe in the future they'll be able to do something like that. I don't know. But the bottom line is, I have no help for you. I'm just saying that everything about my experience with consciousness has value written all over it. It is the all definition of good and bad, The fact that I would even call them good feelings and bad feelings, and everybody knows what I mean. If I say I feel bad, everybody would know what that means. I don't feel good. Everybody knows what that means. So why are we applying the word good if it doesn't mean anything? If that designation was erroneous. It's not an erroneous designation. It's a perfectly rational designation.
Of what is the difference between his ramming this down our throats?
Yeah, whatever, this whole ramming thing. No, I'm just saying that I cannot imagine how you could not interpret your consciousness any other way. I just can't imagine what kind of crazy motherfucking cunt you are. What is going on in your head that you can't understand, okay, the good and bad nature of sensation.
And a religious guy ramming his inside.
Yeah, whatever. Well, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're just such a sack of shit. So anyway, hopefully, yeah, I really just have to just let it go. I just can't. There's no point in arguing with an imbecile this fucking stupid. He's too colossally stupid. He's too colossally dishonest. It's just impossible to argue with fucking lying cheaters like of this magnitude. So Hazy Wolf, you know, I don't like all this rubbishy type. I mean, it's all this, he's conceding way too much this idiotic philosophical babble. But he does get to the point at the bottom. Science continues to reinvestigate, reinvigorate the descriptive strengths of the AN view. Well, I don't know what that means. Gary's right. Okay, this part I like. The enterprise of contemporary philosophy is a failure in its process of deconstructing itself as philosophy or systems of thought. And I don't know if that's a great sentence, but this is good enough, right? This makes up for it all. This is just too simple. One simply needs to face the fundamental facts that one's own experience and admit the circumstance. Yeah, face the fact that the fundamental facts of your own personal experience and quit playing a game like you don't know what it is to be conscious, that you don't know how bad sensations are, you don't know how good sensations are, and that you're not a special consciousness vessel, that the same good and bad is being produced in the other organisms. They're producing good and bad, you're producing good and bad. This is just too fucking obvious, too fucking simple, and really, I really wouldn't mind going to war with anybody who can't concede that simple fact. There is no intrinsic self or free will. Codependent life feeds on itself and incurs immeasurable suffering without significant meaning or gain. So anyway, yeah, he's just talking way too much about antinatalism here. This isn't an antinatalism argument. I mean, Hythloday is a nihilist. It's an argument for everything. I mean, he's basically just saying, I'll do whatever the fuck I want because I don't acknowledge the existence of consequences. Because the only thing that has consequences has to go through me. I mean, it's just, you just can't get dumber. He's basically eviscerated the substance of consciousness. Consciousness is being a rock. There is no distinction between rock welfare and conscious organism welfare. Sensations are irrelevant. It's just, that's all he's saying. Sensations are irrelevant. So anyway, well, I'm not going to get into this. Hubber Blubber guy's a fucking idiot. I mean, he's on the right side here, but he's generally speaking just an idiot. You know, he's a Gaia defender of some kind. Yeah, it says this out there. It's just the same fucking morons. So there's really nothing to say here. You know, my name. Excellent question. Sorry, I didn't get the question. It's religion to observe the qualitative difference between the sensations I experience. Well, and to recognize that the word qualitative means something. Value qualitative. There's a value difference. That's religion. Okay, well, fuck you people. You're just too fucking insane. I just had no idea. Like I said, this is stuff that I had nailed completely. You know, by the age of 5. I mean, I was still a dumb fucker, and this part I could figure out. I mean, this is just too stupid a conversation to have with adults. as I have stated, this I have stated over and over again, I hate this fucking planet.